Howdy friends, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully my mic is working because I've got neighbors who are mowing the lawn. So we need to focus on my voice, not them doing lawn maintenance first. Are you checking that out? Look how amazing that looks. But that's not what today's video is about, friends. Today we're going to talk about horsetail. Alrighty, so both fortunately and unfortunately, I guess, I don't know. My horsetail grows near the end of my driveway, which is close to that road, so hopefully we can hear things fine. I have been meaning to get this video out to you guys, like no joke, for years. And every time I walk by the horsetail, I'm like, oh, I gotta film, and life gets busy, and hey, wouldn't you know it, in this case, the horsetail is past its prime in terms of when I would want to harvest it for tincture. So depending on where you live, this may be different. It may be way past its prime, but still it's important to know what this plant is, how to identify it, all that beautiful stuff. So I think that the information is still relevant. Of course, we are also too late for me to show you on video what the fertile stalk of horsetail Equisetum arvense looks like. So what we're going to be seeing is the vegetative stalk on video, but I will link some pictures. It kind of looks like if a mushroom and bamboo had a baby. It's kind of what the fertile stalk looks like. So that part will come up first in early spring, and then the horsetail will follow afterwards. So without further ado, let's turn the camera around and take a look at Equisetum arvense. Side note, it's funny when friends are like, oh, do you think I could like move this comfrey? I'm like, yeah, good luck. This is actually a comfrey I dug up. I thought I got the entire root. Yeah, no, she came back. So in the distance back here, you can see tons and tons of horsetail. Well, let me see if I can find some. It likes to grow near water, so you're often going to find it on riverbanks. Of course, for us, it's near our swale and is very happy here. But as I mentioned, it's a little past its prime. So what do I mean by that? First, let's get a nice close zoomed in look. I'm going to do my best here, okay? It gets its name because it kind of looks like a horse's tail. Now I actually, and I'm hoping I'll be able to find one for you guys that isn't quite so advanced in its life cycle. You can kind of see how the bristles of this are sort of flopping down or flopping outwards. This indicates that the plant is older. Now, in terms of what you could still do with your horsetail if it looks like this. So for example, I would absolutely use it to say make like hair vinegar. It's actually one of my favorite herbs for this. I like combining it with things like, obviously rosemary's not ready right now, so you could just put in a bunch of dried rosemary. But due to its high silica content, this is an amazing plant for your hair. And I'm pretty sure I have a video on how to make hair vinegar. So I'll link that. But this would be like one of my favorites that you could harvest for that reason. If I had gotten out in here even just about a week or a week and a half ago, the parts like the horsetail would be much closer together. Those kind of like little bristles, for lack of a better word. In its younger phase, this is when I would harvest it for tincture. And you would harvest, here, I'll turn the camera around again. For tincture, whoops, sorry tree. I would go right down to the bottom of the plant and I would cut it. And because the stalk is quite flexible, it's not super high in fibrous material, I use the entire stalk of the plant. So I would go right down to the bottom and cut the thing. And that's how I would, and just chop it up, drown it in alcohol. And that's how you would make tincture from it. And I'm still looking to see if I can find a slightly younger one. But as the plant ages, these bristles will start to flop out even more. And then we're well past when it would be most potent for medicine. So when I talk about ideal harvesting times, I'm talking about when the plant is at its most vibrant and potent in terms of medicinal properties. Okay, let's check out this one. You see how the leaves of the plant are much more upright. They haven't started to flop out yet. this would be more of what I'm looking for. Now, for me, this is not an ideal location. I don't know what my neighbor sprays on his lawn. I have seen him doing things. We are right by the road as well. So this is not, like, I have lots of spots in the wild where I can harvest this. So if I need it in clinic, this is not a great spot, but that is more what I'm looking for in terms of when I would harvest and timing. However, for something like a hair vinegar, closer down towards my house, that way, that's where I would harvest from, and I'd have no problem in that location. But this is right beside the road. Okay, we're gonna take one more minute to admire this work in progress. We've been so busy with landscaping, but check out that herb spiral. We will be doing a video on how to build, construct herb spirals and all of their beautiful benefits, so stay tuned for that, my friends. But for now, we just want to admire the beautiful handiwork. As a side note, if you are ready to really deepen your knowledge on herbal medicine, regardless of where you're at, are you a beginner? Have you been studying for a while? But if you want to know how exactly do I use these herbs to support the systems of my body, to support my family? How do I learn how to formulate? Where can I get more in-depth material? Access to a library that's been around for 2 years, not to mention an amazing community. I invite you to check out my membership platform, Weavers of Plant Wisdom. Like I mentioned, it's been around for 2 years. So immediately upon joining, you get access to over 2 years worth of lessons and handouts. The information's really robust. The community of people are magical and beautiful. And so I invite you to check that out in the description below. So before I dive into the nitty-gritty of the amazing medicinal properties of horsetail, Kiddo wants to share a fun fact that he knows about horsetail. What is it, friend?
A relative of horsetail has been around since, like, the time of the dinosaurs. It's been around for quite a while.
So that makes it one of the oldest plants on the planet.
Oh, yeah. Like ever.
Yeah.
It's like one of the oldest plants on the planet that has ever been on the planet.
Well, and it's interesting because we often think about that when we're harvesting it. Like, genetically, this plant has seen dinosaurs. Like, how cool is that? So, of course, now we want to talk about why do we care, right? Like, this is neat. You've taught us the science name, okay, the sciencey name, Equisetum arvense, horsetail. How do we harvest it? But why, right? Like, this is one of the reasons why I hope you watch these videos. So in terms of topical use, this is actually a really great plant that I have used in infused oils in order to make salves. It can be used first aid. So let's say it's a really what we would call a styptic. So it stops bleeding. And so like right now, if my son cut himself, I could, chop some of this up and use it on his wound, right? As a poultice or a compress. You can infuse it in oil for first aid stuff because it's a good vulnerate. It helps to heal tissues. It doesn't really have a lot of like antibacterial properties. So if you're going to use it in a topical salve, you're going to want to combine it with some plants that have those properties. You can also use it because it's what we call a vascular tonic. So topically, you could create like a spray with it for things like varicose veins, spider veins, all that kind of jazz. So it's got a lot of really neat topical uses.
Wow.
Alrighty, so now we're going to talk about why we would use this plant internally. And as the beginning of the video said, please consult your healthcare practitioner of choice. Everything in this video is for educational purposes only and is not meant to diagnose any conditions, cure them, heal them, none of that stuff. We're just having a fun talk, friends. So internally, how do I use this plant? It's a really good detoxifier supporting the kidneys, so that entire urinary tract, as well as the lymphatic system. So generally speaking, I would use it for that. It's also one of the very few herbs that I have access to that is what we call a prostatic, meaning it actually helps to support the prostate and any conditions, associated with that. And so I always make sure I have it in stock for that reason. I'm just checking my notes to make sure I don't miss anything. Those are the real reasons why for, any toxicity related conditions when we would need some sort of a detox. If I notice any signs that the kidneys are sluggish, this would be a plant that I would go to, especially if my client was male and I wanted to support the prostate as well. Any rheumatic conditions, so gout, rheumatism, all that kind of jazz. really good plant to have in stock. However, there are some contraindications we have to be aware of. Okay, so for one of the reasons why we love this plant, silica, really, really high in silica. So you could also think about using this plant for any types of injuries where we have torn cartilage, broken bones, damaged ligaments, anything like that. You could use it. Again, please consult your healthcare practitioner of choice internally to help heal those conditions, as well as topically, like as a poultice. Really amazing for that. But that silica content is something we have to navigate. Because it's really high in silica, if we were to take this plant for long periods of time internally, it really could start to irritate the kidneys. And so we've got to be careful with anyone who would be considered frail, or anyone with any significant liver or kidney pathology. I wouldn't use it at all, if I'm going to be really honest. But I would only use it for short periods of time. So if I'm using it for detoxification purposes or to help someone heal from an injury, I'm not going to use it for any longer than a month to 6 weeks, tops. And then I would start switching out and use different herbs to help support that person. Oh, and as with all of our plants that are detoxifying in nature, we are not going to use them when we're pregnant or nursing, because these are just not good times to detoxify the body. All right, friends, that is what I can share about Horsetail on this platform. Remember, if you want to come join me, deepen your knowledge, be on a platform that allows me to say pretty much anything I want, check out my membership. I've got information in the description below. If you have questions, please, no questions about diagnosing anything, treating specific conditions. I cannot answer those questions, both due to Health Canada regulations and rules put forth by the platform in which I am sharing this. So you can ask them, but I'm not going to answer them. Again, that's something that my membership is really good for. But if you have general questions, I'm always happy to help. As you guys know, I'm really good at getting back to people and reading those comments and answering them to the best of my ability. So leave those below. And until next time, this is Corinne from Spiraea Herbs, wishing you health, wellness, and happy harvesting.